Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a play. The Washington Commanders are once again at the center of heated conversation across the NFL landscape. But this time, it's not about another frustrating loss, an underwhelming offensive performance, or a questionable coaching decision. Instead, it's about what comes next. Fans have been clamoring for a move. Any move that signals a new direction for a franchise that has spent far too long spinning its wheels in mediocrity. And finally, in Fansided's post-trade deadline mock draft, the move that so many Washington fans were waiting for finally arrived. With the 10th overall pick, the Commanders select Clemson edge rusher TJ Parker, a name that might not yet dominate national headlines, but one that could soon become synonymous with the next era of football in D.C. Now, before we get ahead of ourselves, let's back up to where all of this frustration began, or maybe where it continued. General Manager Adam Peters entered the 2025 trade deadline under intense scrutiny. Fans expected fireworks, and honestly, who could blame them? The Commanders were heading nowhere fast this season. Jayden Daniels, the dynamic rookie quarterback who once gave this franchise a spark of hope, went down with an injury that all but sealed the team's fate. The season, for all intents and purposes, was lost. The writing was on the wall. Everyone assumed that Peters would start selling off assets, tearing down an aging roster that clearly wasn't built to compete in the modern NFL. But when the trade deadline came and went, nothing happened. No trades, no future draft capital, no fresh start, just silence. For a fan base that has grown weary of empty promises and half-hearted rebuilds, that silence was deafening. The debates that followed were fierce. Some believed Peters had no choice, that there simply weren't any legitimate offers worth taking. Others argued that it was cowardice, a refusal to face the obvious truth that the Commanders needed to blow it all up and start again. But regardless of where anyone stood, one thing became clear. This offseason, Peters can't afford to miss. The 2026 offseason will define not only his tenure in Washington, but also the trajectory of the franchise for years to come. The problem is, Peters doesn't have a full deck to play with. As it stands, the Commanders hold just 6 draft picks heading into the 2026 NFL Draft. 6. That's not a lot of ammunition for a team that has holes almost everywhere, especially on defense. The Commanders' decision to run it back with a core of veterans on the defensive side of the ball has been an outright disaster. The front seven, once feared across the league, looks sluggish and outdated. The secondary, while improved in moments, hasn't been able to compensate for the lack of pressure up front. The team's pass rush, once its identity, has all but evaporated. That's where TJ Parker comes in. Cody Williams, in his post-trade deadline mock draft for Fansided, pegged the Clemson star as the Commanders' pick at number 10 overall, and honestly, it's a move that makes perfect sense. At 6'4", 265 pounds, Parker brings the kind of raw athleticism and energy that this defense desperately needs. He's young, explosive, and plays with the kind of relentless motor that can change the tone of a defense overnight. And make no mistake, that's exactly what Washington needs right now. Tone setters. Parker's journey hasn't been an easy one. He came into Clemson as a 4-star recruit, full of promise but still raw. Over time, he's refined his game, showing flashes of elite pass-rushing potential even as Clemson's overall season spiraled into disappointment. The Tigers have been one of college football's biggest underachievers this year, no question about it. But Parker has managed to shine through the chaos. Sure, the sack numbers might not jump off the page, but context matters. Clemson has often found itself trailing in games, forcing opponents to lean heavily on the run. That limits pass rush opportunities. Yet every time Parker gets the chance to pin his ears back and attack, he's a problem. His burst off the line is elite, his hand usage is improving, and his ability to bend around the edge is already at an NFL level. When you watch Parker's tape, what stands out isn't just his physical traits, it's his persistence. He doesn't quit on plays. Even when blocked initially, he finds ways to re-engage, to fight through contact, to stay involved. That kind of relentless mentality is exactly what Washington's defense has been missing. Too often this season, the unit has looked passive, almost resigned to its fate. Adding a young, hungry edge rusher like Parker could re-energize the entire group. Now, let's be real. The Commanders' front office hasn't exactly earned the benefit of the doubt when it comes to player development. We've seen talented players come and go without ever reaching their potential in Washington. But this time, things need to be different. Peters can't afford another swing and miss. The Commanders need to commit to building a sustainable core, one that isn't just patching holes year to year with aging veterans or short-term free agents. Parker represents a chance to build something lasting, to plant a flag for the next generation of Commanders football. And let's not forget the ripple effect this kind of pick could have. A dominant edge rusher changes everything. It makes life easier for your secondary. It creates turnovers. It shifts momentum. It gives your defense swagger, and Washington has been starved for that kind of energy for far too long. The days of Ryan Kerrigan and the young Chase Young promised a future that never fully materialized. Maybe, just maybe, TJ Parker can be the one to finally bring it back. Of course, the success of this pick, hypothetical as it may be right now, will depend heavily on what the Commanders do in free agency. Peters has to be aggressive. He can't sit back and hope that one draft pick will magically fix years of roster neglect. Washington needs reinforcements on the offensive line. They need depth at linebacker, and they absolutely need to continue developing their young offensive core around Jaden Daniels. The good news is that Peters seems to understand that the old model, the one that relied on aging veterans and mid-tier signings, doesn't work anymore. The bad news is he's running out of time to prove it. If there's one thing this fan base has shown over the years, it's resilience. They've endured name changes, ownership chaos, losing seasons, and false dawns. Yet somehow they still care. They still believe, even if it's just a flicker of hope at this point. That's why this mock draft pick feels symbolic. It's not just about TJ Parker, the player. It's about what he represents, a new beginning. A reason to believe that maybe, just maybe, things can finally start to turn around. And make no mistake, this offseason is going to be pivotal. With only 6 draft selections and a roster full of questions, Peters has to be surgical. Every pick has to count. Every signing has to make sense. There's no more room for wasted opportunities. The Commanders have been stuck in a cycle of mediocrity for too long, and it's time for bold moves, not safe ones. Drafting TJ Parker would be exactly that, a statement. A signal that the front office is finally ready to embrace the youth movement and build for the future rather than trying to squeeze one more year out of the past. As for Parker himself, there's no question he fits the mold of a modern NFL edge defender. He's not just a pass rusher, he's a disruptor. His combination of speed, strength, and football IQ allows him to affect plays even when he's not recording sacks. He sets the edge against the run, forces quarterbacks to move off their spots, and commands attention that frees up his teammates. The Commanders need more players like that. Impact defenders who tilt the field. When you put it all together, you start to see why this mock draft pick has fans buzzing. It's not just about adding a player. It's about adding an identity. And in Washington, identity has been the missing ingredient for far too long. So, while this season may be lost, the seeds of something better might just be taking root. It's been a dark few years in D.C., but with a pick like TJ Parker, there's at least a glimmer of light on the horizon. For the first time in a while, Commanders fans have something to dream about, and maybe, just maybe, that's the first step towards something real. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. The NFL universe has been sent into a whirlwind of speculation and excitement this week. And if you thought the offseason was going to be quiet, think again. The latest buzz, the kind of rumor that spreads like wildfire across social media feeds and NFL fan forums, centers around none other than Chris Olave, the New Orleans Saints standout wide receiver whose speed, route-running precision, and game-changing ability have made him one of the most coveted young talents in the league. According to insiders who are speaking on condition of anonymity, Olave has reportedly agreed to a move that could reshape the dynamics of the NFC East, a potential trade to the Washington Commanders. That's right, Chris Olave, a player who has been a symbol of the Saints' aerial attack since being drafted, may be packing his bags for Washington, and the ripple effects of this move are already being felt across the league. Fans, analysts, and even rival teams are scrambling to understand what this could mean, not just for the Commanders, but for the entire NFL landscape. The mere possibility of Olave suiting up in burgundy and gold has created a storm of speculation, with conversations ranging from the tactical to the financial, from the locker room chemistry to the broader implications for the Saints' offensive strategy. Sources close to the situation suggest that Olave's willingness to embrace a new challenge has been driven by a combination of factors. While he has thrived in New Orleans, where his partnership with quarterback Derek Carr, who joined the Saints in a major offseason acquisition, has blossomed into one of the league's most electrifying passing duos, Olave reportedly sees the Commanders as a team on the rise, a franchise that is hungry, ambitious, and ready to make a statement in the NFC East. The idea of joining a team with a young, ascending quarterback and a coaching staff eager to redefine their offensive identity seems to have resonated with him. Inside sources hint that Olave has been meticulously analyzing the Commanders' offensive schemes, studying game tape, and even consulting with former teammates and NFL veterans about the potential for success in Washington. The sense of intrigue is palpable. This isn't just a player moving from one city to another. It's a marquee talent making a calculated decision about the trajectory of his career, and fans across the country are holding their collective breath, waiting for the official announcement. But what would this move mean for the Commanders? Simply put, it could be transformative. Washington has been building toward a high-powered offensive identity, and adding Olave to the mix would instantly elevate their passing game to elite levels. Imagine Olave lining up alongside Terry McLaurin, with a quarterback capable of distributing the ball with precision, whether through deep shots downfield or crisp timing routes over the middle. The offensive playbook could expand dramatically, allowing for formations and schemes that other teams in the division would struggle to defend. Analysts are already speculating about how Olave's presence could open up opportunities for the running game, create mismatches in the red zone, and force defenses to rethink their coverage strategies on a week-to-week basis. The Commanders have long been seen as a team with potential but lacking that definitive playmaking edge. Olave could very well be that missing piece, a player whose skill set is as versatile as it is explosive. Meanwhile, the Saints face a difficult reckoning. Trading Olave would not just mean parting with one of their most dynamic weapons. It would signify a potential shift in their offensive philosophy. While the Saints have been rebuilding and recalibrating after a series of offseason moves, losing Olave would demand a creative response from their coaching staff and front office. Could they elevate a younger, less proven wide receiver to fill the void? Would they pivot toward a more run-heavy approach? Or might they explore the trade market themselves to bring in another high-caliber talent to offset the loss? These are questions that Saints fans are asking with increasing urgency, and the whispers coming out of New Orleans suggest that while the team is preparing for the possibility, there's a palpable sense of uncertainty. The relationship between Olave and the Saints has been strong, but the NFL is an industry of constant motion, and sometimes even the brightest stars are compelled to chase new opportunities elsewhere. From a strategic perspective, the timing of this rumor is also crucial. The NFL calendar is moving into a period where contracts, trades, and free agency chatter dominate headlines, and teams are jockeying to position themselves for the upcoming draft and the regular season. Olave's potential move to Washington could send shockwaves through trade negotiations, salary cap discussions, and even draft strategies for multiple franchises. Teams that were previously considering other wide receivers may now pivot, reassess their priorities, or even engage in secondary trades to stay competitive. The ripple effect is significant. The addition of a player of Olave's caliber isn't just a roster move. It's a statement, a signal to the league that the Commanders are serious contenders, willing to make bold, high-stakes decisions to improve immediately. Of course, this is the kind of news that invites debate and discussion, and social media is already ablaze with speculation. Fans are divided between excitement and skepticism. Analysts are weighing the potential impact on both teams, and rumor mills are running at full speed. Could Olave's transition to Washington be seamless, or will it require an adjustment period as he adapts to a new system, new teammates, and new expectations? Will the Saints struggle to maintain offensive momentum without him, or could this open doors for other emerging talents to step into the spotlight? Every angle is being dissected, every potential scenario analyzed, and yet, for all the speculation, the central narrative is compelling. Chris Olave, one of the brightest young stars in the NFL, is reportedly open to a new chapter in his career, and the Commanders may very well be the stage where it unfolds. There's also an intangible element to consider: the psychological impact of such a move. Olave has shown resilience and poise on the field, but transitions like these involve more than just playbooks and statistics. He'll need to build rapport with a new quarterback, adjust to a new city, and navigate the expectations of a passionate fanbase hungry for results. Meanwhile, Washington's locker room dynamics could shift in response to the arrival of a high-profile talent. Leadership roles, team culture, and interpersonal relationships are all factors that could influence how effectively Olave integrates into the squad. NFL insiders suggest that both parties are aware of these challenges, and that Olave's reported openness to the move reflects a confidence in his ability to thrive in new environments, a willingness to embrace change, and a desire to compete at the highest level. As rumors continue to swirl, it's important to recognize the broader context. The NFL is a league defined by constant evolution, where players, coaches, and teams are always strategizing for advantage. A potential Olave to Commanders trade is not just a storyline. It's a microcosm of the high-stakes, high-drama nature of professional football, where individual decisions can reverberate across entire divisions. For fans, it's an invitation to dream, debate, and imagine the possibilities. The deep passes connecting effortlessly, the highlight reel catches, the tension of close divisional matchups, and the excitement of a team redefining itself around a superstar talent. In other words, this is the kind of narrative that keeps fans glued to their screens, analysts on edge, and social media buzzing with theories, projections, and hot takes that range from the wildly optimistic to the skeptically cautious. So, while nothing has been officially confirmed, the chatter around Chris Olave and the Washington Commanders is impossible to ignore. It has all the ingredients of an NFL blockbuster: a young, elite talent, a team on the rise, high-stakes strategy, and the tantalizing uncertainty of what comes next. Whether this rumor crystallizes into a reality or simply serves as a dramatic what if, it's clear that the NFL offseason has been injected with a jolt of adrenaline, and fans of both the Saints and the Commanders, not to mention the broader football community, are along for the ride. The story of Chris Olave potentially joining the Commanders is still being written, and every passing day brings new developments, new speculations, and new reasons to believe that, should it happen, the NFL landscape could look very different when the regular season kicks off. In the meantime, we wait, we analyze, and we speculate, because in the NFL, rumors like this aren't just entertainment. They're the pulse of the game, the heartbeat of a league where every decision matters, and where one star player can ignite the imagination of fans, redefine team strategy, and set the stage for unforgettable moments in the seasons to come. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.